Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Whalenerds podcast. We are late, as usual.
It's our normal summer.
This is episode 37. My name is Slater, and I'm here with Katlyn Taylor.
Hello. We're here with Lacey, too.
And my dog, Lacey.
She doesn't have her squeaky, though.
Subbing for Eric, who is still circumnavigating the globe.
Yeah, he really is. He's in Canada now, I think.
And where's he end at? Does he go back
I think Canada's the end of it.
Dang.
He comes back this weekend.
Oh, I thought he was gone for like 3 weeks or something.
It's already been 2 weeks.
Dang. I feel like I've been gone for a while, too.
You have.
Well, only like 5 days. Well, one extra day.
Yeah.
So what did you see here while I was gone?
Fog and humpbacks.
Oh, yeah, because I saw Adam's pictures from 2 days ago.
That day was
foggy.
Brutal.
Still saw stuff, though. You had like white sides and humpbacks.
We had so I was on a private charter, and it was this group of 6. They were all like a family, and they planned this surprise trip for this guy for his 30th birthday. He loves whales and he'd never seen one, so they booked a private charter for him. Yeah.
And Adam went on that?
No, Adam was on the other boat.
You were on an opposite boat.
Yeah, so I was on a different boat than him, and we had a really nice encounter with coastal bottlenose that were feeding on anchovies for a while. Nice. They were like, the fish were flying, and it was really cool. And then wow, we had like 2.5 hours in the fog looking at nothing. I mean, all these boats drove north of Moss Landing, like to the Pajaro.
That's what he said. He said he went really far.
Yeah. And because a boat out of Moss Landing had seen a whale, and it was like such thick fog, you could barely see past the front of the boat all over the bay. Every boat had a struggle. And then another boat that came out at 10 stumbled across a group of whales on the edge of the canyon where the Soquel and the main canyon meet. And so we all just beelined it over there because we were all doing this grid search. Like 6 boats were doing a grid search for one whale, and we couldn't find it. So we gave up and went to that whale, those 2 whales. As soon as we got there, lunge feeding. I was like, oh, thank goodness. Like, this just saved our trip.
I'm so used to seeing lunge feeding in the fog, I feel like.
Yeah.
And it still looks awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was rad.
Sometimes it's hard with the camera, but like.
Yeah, it's hard to get photos, but if you're just standing there enjoying it like I was like, this is perfect.
It's only hard to get photos because sometimes the fog can bring it in and out of focus.
Yeah.
In between the whale.
Yeah.
The fog in between you and the whale.
Exactly.
But if it's like not super dense fog and it's just right above the whales, but it's still foggy, it can look really cool in the photos.
It gets really moody.
Yeah.
So later that day, I text the captain I was out with. I text Danny and was like, so did you find whale? Did you have to go all the way to those whales again for the afternoon? Because for an hour shorter trip, that's a long ways.
Yeah.
And he was like, he called me and he was like, there were at least 8 or 9 whales between us and those whales at the Soquel. Wow. And there was 2 on the beach. I was like, what? How did we miss all of them?
That's so funny.
It was that foggy. But
Monterey,
people
always ask me about that. Like, I'm like, well, in the summer it's pretty much fog, but it's so weird. I feel like my first summer here it was really foggy, but then it wasn't. Like the last couple of summers weren't really. Well, they were foggy, but in the parts where I don't think they were normally supposed to be foggy, or is it supposed to be now that's foggy?
This is late in the year for it to be foggy.
It's usually like July, August, right?
Yeah, no sky
like
July.
August, yeah,
and Fogust.
Yeah, so
June gloom.
But now it's like foggy. It's been foggy in the mornings.
Yeah, it's almost October.
But was it today?
No, not today.
Today's clear, huh?
Yeah, it looks nice today. But I'm wondering if it's gonna be foggy tomorrow because it's so hot today.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's been hot inland, huh?
Yeah.
So on the day,
it's 90 degrees here.
It's so funny. Like I feel like every time I leave here, either I see something really cool on the boats, which I didn't go out before I left. Like not really recent to the day I left, but on our way out, I saw humpbacks like driving through Marina. I was like, there's a whale! Yeah. And then, like, I was pointing it out to Margot's mom and dad drove us to the airport because they were coming up here to send the sister off to college. And so I saw humpbacks, like, near the beach on the way up to the airport. And there was also a fire in, like, Gilroy.
Oh, no.
And at first I was like, oh, it's probably just, like, a controlled fire. But then I saw, like, then on the opposite side of the freeway, there was, like, 2 fire trucks with their sirens on. And then, like, an ambulance and, like, all sorts of stuff came, police. So I don't know if you ever heard about a fire while I left. I didn't hear anything about it. I Googled it, but
there was a controlled burn in Fort Ord while we were out whale watching one day.
Yeah.
But it was like white smoke the whole time because they were putting water on it.
Yeah, it just didn't look like a controlled burn. I mean, I don't think it was because I don't think they would have sirens. They would have already been there if it was a controlled burn. I don't think they would be like rushing up with sirens and blocking all the freeway.
No, I didn't hear. Yeah, but I didn't hear anything. But I wasn't really paying attention.
And it was totally like, you know, like like a brush fire where it was like green bushes and like dead grass and like just like total like off the road fire. Like it wasn't like they were burning like trash or something or burning something.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Well, you didn't miss a whole lot. I mean, we still have humpbacks around. There's actually more humpbacks the last few days than there has been. Rizzo's quite often. But the whales have been making us work for it. That's for sure. They've been moving around a lot. The food's been moving around a lot. But for a couple days, there's only like 2 or 3 whales. And then now we're up to like 10 to 15 again.
That's so weird. Well, at least they're coming back because I have that trip coming up.
Oh, yeah.
In a couple weeks.
I think they're all just up in Half Moon Bay and everything might be moving back down. So we'll see what happens.
They're going to end here. They're going to feed until they can't, and then they're going to leave.
Yeah.
That's what they always do.
Yep.
I think October is going to be awesome.
I hope so.
So the trip was incredible up there.
I know. I saw some of your stuff on Insta.
Not even that. It wasn't even like the shots that I got were, I mean, it was incredible, but the whole entire trip went like just, it couldn't have gone any better.
Oh, good.
And especially because like leading up to it, it was like, claiming rain for 2 days, which can scare a lot of people, you know, because they got expensive camera gear and stuff like that. But you've seen the boat, so the boat is fully weatherproof.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. We literally left the harbor on the first morning. So we got picked up in Friday Harbor. And we by a bus, and the bus has I didn't even know. I just booked like with the best rated like company up there.
Yeah.
And their bus had a full like killer whales and like all painted on it. So it's like this big old orange, like not yellow, but like orange bus with like killer whales painted all over the side. So it was kind of like perfect. It did come with some spiders inside of it too.
Oh no!
Like straight up full spider web like above our head. Like it was cool. There was like a spider in the middle. 3 spiders in there. But it was cool. It was like a great experience. So we bussed over to Snug Harbor, which is like, seriously, it's like a very remote, like, it's a huge resort that's like all log cabins. Like, it would look like log cabins, but they're like more modern, I guess.
Yeah.
Really pretty. So we left out of there at like, I think like 10:45. We got there a little early and we got on the boat right away. And we didn't even get... It's funny because as I'm walking up, Taylor, the deckhand, was like, dude, we got residents. Like, and I was like, what? And so, like, we didn't say anything, you know? And so Jeff did his little speech, and he's like, yeah, so, you know, if all goes well today, I'm really hoping that maybe we can look for our southern resident population and maybe we can also look for some transient killer whales and even some humpbacks and you never know, we'll come across minkies and blah blah blah.
Under promise.
Yeah, and over deliver. So we literally leave the harbor and not even a mile, like we turned left right away because they knew they were on the west side where like is a very typical spot for them to feed.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be. And so we get like within a mile or we turn out and within the mile we have southern resident killer whales.
Oh my god.
So like we started the morning off with them so it was like just it was a portion of the L pod.
Yeah.
And they were spread out. So we only spent probably like 30 minutes there. We wanted to like go because they were right there and we figured if they're going to be there we could always, if they leave there, we could catch them wherever they're going to going because we have a full day, 8 hours. Mm-hmm. So and they were in a spot where you have to stay a half mile off anyways against lime kiln. And so we saw them, we followed them up to like we watched them up until we got to the lighthouse. Mm-hmm. And then they literally lined up perfectly with the lighthouse. So we got shots of the killer whales, lighthouse, and hundreds of people on the beach watching them.
Cool.
Which is really funny because we saw some shots from the beach. Well, the killer whales weren't, from where we looked, it looked like they were right on the rocks, right?
Yeah.
Well, from where they looked, it looked like they were way out by the boat. Mm-hmm. So they were really like pretty close to in between us, but definitely closer to shore than they were to us.
Yeah.
But the compression from the lenses on both the beach and the boat made it seem like, you know, both of us had like an encounter that was it was unbelievable, but you know what I mean? Like it looked really, really close to either the beach or the boat. And so that was really cool to line the killer whales up, the southern resident killer whales with the lighthouse, which is like kind of iconic.
Yeah.
So right after that, we left there and we headed towards a place called Race Rocks, had already, you know how they have their little app, so they had already like known that there was transients there. Mm-hmm. So we went up, caught up to two. I think it was two. First, I believe we started with two males, 77A and 11A, and they were just hanging out. Just really, most of the killer whales that we encountered were kind of just cruising, nothing like too crazy going on. So we saw them for a little bit, and then we continued into the Strait of Juan de Fuca, where we had another pod of killer whales, and I forget who it was, but I believe it was the 118s, and there were some others in there. And it's so crazy because right when we caught up to them, it literally dropped to it was already flat. So I don't know how it could get any flatter, but it felt like it just got even flatter. And the light turned to this weird blue, it was really it was overcast but sunny.
Yeah.
And it had this weird like navy blue color water, and then it was the Olympic Peninsula all green in the background, and then clouds above that. So it was really just a really pretty moment. And then so we left them, and guess how many humpbacks we saw?
Were you seeing as many as
More
Sarah
than here.
was posting?
Dude, we saw over 20 humpback whales.
Wow.
And okay, we saw over 15 whales within our mile, couple miles of visibility. Every time we kept going, there was more and more. We could have followed them. They said there's probably hundreds in the Strait of Juan. If you kept going out the strait, there would have been hundreds.
Wow.
I think they're pumped. They're this is a new.
Yeah.
Because to have that many humpbacks, they always talk about how they had barely any, a few years ago. You could see 10 in the summer.
Right.
Just how we would say here,
Sarah
in Southern
had
California.
5 or 6 whales in one frame, right before you left. I was
they took a video. Yeah, a video of tons of whales blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was groups of 5 together, groups of 3. It felt like Monterey, but with crazy, crazy backgrounds.
Yeah.
And it's just flatter than a lake. I'm telling you, it was flat, so flat.
I wonder how much of that is because of the blob that the whales are pushing in there.
Well, guess what? It was red tide.
Yeah.
The further we kept going out, there was red tide.
Because they also...
And there's a river that runs off there, so it's also brown water. Yeah. But there was also you could see red tide. Yeah, it was just that when
it's pretty warm.
when the humpbacks move their fluke, and
you can see it well up.
So you could definitely see the algae blooms.
Because there was a report of striped dolphin up there as well.
Yeah, they were we're looking for that.
I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Wow.
And obviously we spent a pretty good amount of time with each one of the animals, so that took a lot. And there was some traveling. We went to some cool spots, in between some. I can't even name. There's so many different islands. There's this one island that's kind of a myth. There's a wolf on this island.
Yeah.
And some people have, the people from Victoria, it's in Canada, so they've seen it. But they said they've been there hundreds of times and never seen it. So it's
it's just one wolf.
It's and it's they're supposed to. It's some sort of spirit of something. So we looked around for that, and we saw some harbor seals and stuff like that right there.
So you had everything you wanted in the first day. So did you even
wait,
go out
so
the
then
second day?
Yeah, right. So then we left those humpbacks, and we gave us enough time so that we could, if there would be a sunset, we could spend it with residents, hopefully.
Yeah.
So on our way towards where the residents were last seen, because they ended up moving a little further south, I think.
Yeah.
On our way to that, we came across a minke whale. So we got the San Juan Slam, they call it. So humpbacks, transients, residents, orcas, and then a minke whale. Wait, what else? I feel like there's something else.
We had 4 residents.
Yeah,
and
that's it. So and I mean, they do get fin whales very rarely in the Strait of Juan de Fuca, but very rare. So and then what's it called? And we obviously had Stellar sea lions and California sea lions and harbor seals. So we come across this minke whale, and everybody's like, "Wow, that's just one more species added to the list." It was super flat, calm, still, beautiful lighting, and then that minke whale pretty much just led us right into Southern Residence again, which was now KL and K pod, but they were very spread out, so it wasn't we saw 50 killer whales. It was 15 or 20 spread out, and there was more and more. If you kept going further down the line, you would see more killer whales. So we just stopped the boat and kept our distance and just let them parade on by. And of course we had a decently close pass from one of the bigger males. I think it was K33. Cool. Yeah. I think that's actually the picture I posted this morning. So the first day was literally Grand Slam. Couldn't have been any better. everybody was like, well, I guess we could just go home. Like, because it's like, so you see all those things, then it's like, oh, great, what am I going to show you tomorrow? Like,
yeah,
what
how
am
are
I
we
going
going
to
to
see
top
tomorrow?
this tomorrow?
I guess I'll bring extra wheat thins or something. Like, you know, what are we going to see?
I'll bring extra snacks.
Yeah. So, and then the next day we wake up to rain, and it basically rained the entire trip.
Yeah.
So we started at like 11, and about 3 o'clock the rain stopped, which during the whole entire like rain spell, we had humpbacks. We saw an elephant seal. We had Dall's porpoise, harbor porpoise.
Cool.
So we still saw a lot of cool things. Oh yeah, we also saw those the first day as well.
Harbor porpoise and Dall's porpoise?
Yeah.
Or just harbor porpoise?
Well, we saw harbor porpoise, and at the very end of the night, I think we saw we ended up seeing them in the same spot the next morning.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling it was Dall's porpoise. Also, they said they might have saw a hybrid. So there is a hybrid between Dall's and harbor porpoise. I saw a picture of it. It looks kind of funky.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then the rain had stopped. We were right by Saturna Island, I believe, and 6+ humpback whales.
Nice.
Leading out into the Strait of Georgia. And then we got a report of 2 transient killer whales, so 77A, which is really cool. We saw the same killer whale the second day, 75 miles away from where we saw it the day before, right?
Wow.
And guess what? He left 11A. 11A they never see come weigh in. He always leaves them right there. So they never really see him in the islands anywhere. He's always like in the strait, and that's it. That's where he's been seen the most. Well, 77A dipped out on him and then met up with 43A3, another male. How funny is that? He's
cheating on him.
Yeah, well, it's funny
He's
because
like, I'm dropping you off for your other friend inside the islands. I'll pick you up later out at the strait.
Well, this one was like a younger male, so he was just like just starting to sprout.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Jeff was like, I feel like 77A is just this like grumpy old man. He's just like, what are you doing? Like, stop following me. And so it's so cool. The light opened up just enough. The rain had stopped some. It started to sprinkle during the encounter with the 2 killer whales, but we watched them through active pass, and then we found out that some other boats were going to come into the area and watch them. So we ended up crossing the Strait of Georgia and going over to Point Roberts, which is like I think the northernmost part of Washington before it goes to Canada on the mainland side, to look for the southern residents. But we ended up not finding them over there because that's where they were last seen. Yeah, was headed up the Strait of Georgia, and usually they get to a point and they turn around. So everybody and they hadn't seen them again, and they're not allowed to watch them in Canada. Yeah. So the last report was like once you know who they are and you've documented that it is a resident member, you can't watch them anymore. So someone had seen them, documented it, and left, but they assumed that they had turned back. So we went down to where we could watch them again. Yeah. To see if they were going to come back through. Yeah. Which ended up being. They ended up tagging one of the members the night before. They got a successful D-tag out on one of the residents, and it ended up washing up into the port right there where we were. How crazy is that? So, and it stays on for 12 hours. I'll learn more about that. We'll talk about the tag later on because I still have to listen to see what like data comes from it and stuff. Interesting. Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
So. You can't watch Southern residents in Canada at all
until like October 31st, I think, and it was like a seasonal test. They were like testing it out, but it's probably never going to happen again. And for reasons such as like, if you can't watch them there, then no one can like even help. So say private boats are just running them over all day, right? Who's there? Like, because they're not going to have their government agency out, and neither are we because it's in Canada. So who's going to like protect them? Right. Which is why whale watching is so good for the whales, is because you can protect the whales for things like that. Right. So, yeah. But yeah, that ends in October, and it probably won't happen again, hopefully.
Huh. Yeah, well, we'll see. So how are they supposed to measure the data? Like, I don't understand if you can't follow them.
The D-tag?
Well, no, but like, how are they supposed to know what impact the ban
they had
on
drones
whale
up.
watching is?
Like Noah had drone up. Cascadia, I think, had a drone up over the residents while I was there. Interesting. I was asked to put my drone up, like for Noah. Someone had reached out to someone on the boat and said, "Can you put your drone? Like, do you have your drone?" And I left it in the bus. Oh. That would have been my time to shine with the residents.
Yeah, seriously.
It's all right though.
They probably would have been like, "It's under permit. You can't."
That's what it was. Well, it was supposed to be under. Yeah, no, of course, but it still would have been cool to help with anything I could have. Yeah. So yeah, but it was just absolutely incredible trip.
Man, that's awesome.
The Stellars. Okay, there's so many They pulled up to this rock where they were like supposed to be like, okay, here's all the Stellar sea lions. It was all California sea lions, and then like around the corner was all the Stellars. But they were like, this is like the most California sea lions we've ever seen here. So they're kind of populating up there as well.
Yeah.
But oh my God, the Stellar sea lions are. We get that one here, the couple here on the buoy, but those are so small. Like,
oh yeah, no, they're tiny.
They're like they're like either
on.
they're females or they look as small as our males. They're like a little bigger than our males.
There's one that is a female. Oh, excuse me. That comes down here.
The males there, I posted a picture on Facebook today, are so big.
Yeah, they're like a bear.
What I think it's like 1,200 pounds or something.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Huge.
Crazy big.
It's funny that the elephant seal we saw. I feel like I always see females when out at sea, but we had a male.
The males go north.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the males go north towards Alaska, and then the females go offshore, like west of California.
And he stayed up for a while.
That's
surprisingly, because
cool.
It's always like as soon as you point at it, it's down.
Yeah.
He stayed up. Everybody was able to get like a picture of him. I mean, we were a couple hundred, like we were 200 yards away or something, but still cool. Yeah, so that second morning we started within not even the same thing. We started out with the Dall's porpoise right away.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Did you guys get a good encounter with them?
Oh, yeah, they were racing around, came to the boat. Taylor was like, dude, so as soon as Jeff saw him, he like pulled back and stopped to like look at them. He's like, no, keep going. He's like, they don't like you if you're not going. And he starts to go again and they zoom on over. So that was cool.
Nice. That's fun.
Okay, so something I want to talk about, which Taylor was telling all the passengers on the boat, which is really cool, is just how well the transients are doing up there and how poorly the residents are doing. And everybody wants to like base it off of sound and all these other things. Mm-hmm. But really, it just comes down to their food source. Like, there's no salmon.
Yeah.
There's nowhere for the salmon to go.
Yeah. So
there's literally nothing you can, like, no matter what you do as far as whale watching or like changing the shipping lanes or do it, slowing the number of ships down, like, there's still not going to be food for them.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of food. And so it just shows you that the noise, as much as it can affect them, does not affect them,
It's not the primary stressor.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
and sure,
exactly.
And I'm sure it can cause stress. But then while I'm there, J-Pod is down in the Puget Sound and a container ship goes through and almost all of the pod members jumped in the wake. And
I saw that video.
I mean, it's an incredible video. They're surfing it, and then even one jumps out the back. Like, yeah. Oh my gosh. So it's like, obviously it's not making them that mad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's times where like it's annoying.
Yeah.
Just like living by the airport here, it's annoying.
Yeah.
And I am saying it'd be really helpful to save or to lower some of the noise and all of that.
Right.
But the food source is like.
Yeah, you got to go to the heart of the problem. You can't take the low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
That's not gonna work.
The science is literally there. They're showing that their cousins, the transient orcas, are doing like I don't even know what their rate is, but it's crazy successful. Yeah, I think they're above 600 killer whales now.
Really?
Yeah, in like the Pacific Northwest, transients.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I thought that was really like sitting back and thinking about it. It's like, wait, they're in the same.
They use the same habitat.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. And there's plenty of things for them to eat. So obviously they can thrive in that industrialized, part of the coast.
Yeah. You know what is funny is Sarah has pictures. Sarah and Jeff both have photos of southern residents with harbor porpoise draped over their heads.
Yeah, they kill them.
They like play with them. Either they like play with them so much that they die, or like they just straight up kill them for fun. But I don't think. Yeah. She's like has photos of them literally like spy hopping with them on their heads.
Yep.
And it's like, just take a bite.
Just eat it. I promise it doesn't taste that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of the males will it seems like a frustration behavior according to the scientists that they
or
just
training.
Beat up they just beat up harbor porpoise.
They beat up all. I mean, I'm sure they beat up birds.
Bottlenose dolphin do it too. Male bottlenose dolphin will beat up harbor porpoise and kill him and then leave him.
Which is weird. I mean, harbor porpoise actually get to like 5 feet. They're pretty big.
Yeah.
They look so small compared to everything else we see in the ocean, but they're not that. I mean, they're taller than
little.
me? No, they're not.
No, they're like the same length as like I would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they're like 10 inches shorter than me, but still.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take. Like, will they switch prey, or are they just going to go extinct as the salmon populations decline? Like, what?
Well, they're going to go extinct too.
Yeah.
Everybody, like, one of the main things they talk about up there is really just like, it's not like opening up the dam. It's really just digging basically a moat around each side of the dam, the lower Snake River Dam, or dams, I guess.
Yeah, just change the amount of water flow. You don't have to actually remove the structure.
Well, yeah, they don't need to, like, because it would just be, like, it would take a long time for them to destroy that whole structure and take it away.
Right.
Which probably, I feel like all that stuff going into the water would be really bad for it as well.
Possibly, but also, like, you're going to flood areas that are now developed.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to figure out what to do with all the people.
Yeah, so they're saying, like, just building around it would be awesome. Or, like, opening it up on each side of it.
Yeah.
I just think it's so weird. It's like, what do you think is going to happen when you close off the place where the fish are supposed to
go
and freaking just it blows my mind.
Well, there used to be a lot more fish. You can't spawn. There used to be a lot more fish. Well, yeah, so the odds of some making it through were higher.
Yeah.
And now that there's less fish, it's like every fish counts, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I just think back to Jason Colby's photos of those, like, mile-long stretches of, like, gill nets and stuff where they just used to catch thousands and thousands. They basically just, like, put a giant net in front of every river outlet in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, it caught whales. It caught everything.
Millions of salmon and, yeah, a whole bunch of other things.
Bycatch, sharks. They have a lot of 6-gill and 7-gill sharks there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there was one other shark they were telling me about.
That's cool.
Yeah. It gets pretty deep in some spots in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Do they ever go so far that they're, like, way out in the open, exposed ocean?
So, where we were in the Strait of Juan de Fuca, it's so hard to say that. I don't know why. We were only, like, I think 15 miles from the open ocean if we kept going.
Yeah.
Well, maybe a little further than that. And they said that, or actually maybe it was like 25 or 30 miles from the open ocean. But they've been themselves, the furthest Jeff was saying, he's like, I've been as close as 13 miles to the open. He's like, I really want to go so bad. You got to have time on your trip. I know, it's like, why don't you just go out on your own?
Like, you own the boat. Why wouldn't you just go?
But
surely there's a day where it's calm enough and you don't have a trip that you can
imagine
just
going out
it.
And seeing, like, who knows what. They've even had offshore killer whales show up there.
Yeah.
Could you imagine going out and it's like, we actually thought
could be whale palooza out there. You didn't even know.
Oh, you think residents and transients aren't friends? He's like, they're just taking a break from each other in the islands.
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
When they're offshore, they all hang out.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, I don't want to see you on the side of the island for the next 6 hours.
Residents, transients, offshore orcas, all hanging in one place.
Yeah, it could be just like or it could be like a blue whale party out there. Who knows?
Yeah, I would love to be there the day that a blue whale shows up. It will happen for sure.
It could happen this year. Man, that warm water has been creeping into shore. It's really kind of getting scary. Have you been watching the temperature maps at all?
I haven't seen anything, but I know it's warm everywhere.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, they have red tide in there coming into their strait.
Did they say they've ever seen that before?
I think they have. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had the red tide.
Also, it's probably hard to tell when the water that comes out of some of the rivers is brown.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure they do some sampling up there, but
they're eating krill, all the humpbacks.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, blue whales could definitely go in there and join them.
Yeah.
I've seen blue whales and humpbacks feed together, so it's possible.
Yeah, it definitely happens. Well, it looks like
I'm sure more than we think too. I bet there's probably humpbacks and blue whales out there feeding together.
Oh yeah.
Off of California somewhere.
Oh well, they saw them on the fishing boats a couple days ago down at Bixby. There was blue whales and humpbacks everywhere feeding together. So it was just a big whale party, but
let's go.
Really far away for the boat.
So let's go.
Yeah, so right now the warm water blob situation, we'll see how it moves in towards shore. It is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100. It's like 125 miles out right now if I'm reading this correctly. It's 68-degree water creeping its way in towards the coast. And then at the at Point Pinos, it's like 59 degrees, according to the temperature map right now. So it's pretty warm. Inside the bay, it's over 60. It should cool
off soon, right? But Monterey gets that like Indian summer. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, the air temperature. The air temperature is warm. We get a nice little shot of warm weather in the fall, like we're experiencing today, where it's over 90 degrees in Monterey, which is like obscene.
Why do they call it that? Indian summer. It's I just Googled. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
An Indian summer is a period of unseasonably warm, dry weather that sometimes occurs in autumn. So like fall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like that. I feel like every September gets really hot here. Kind of does that everywhere, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, last year we didn't have it though. I was actually kind of whining about it, which is surprising for me.
We had a couple hot days, but nothing like this year's been really hot.
Yeah, we've had some nice stretches of warm weather and calm weather. Because last year, that was actually my real complaint. Was like, not only did it not get warm for a week or two in September, it also was super windy. And I was like, what the heck? It's not supposed to be windy anymore. It's the fall. So
did you watch Greta's video?
Yes.
How'd you feel about it?
I think that she's right. How dare you is the best phrase you could possibly use.
I think it's so awesome.
Yeah. I mean, she's definitely not the first person to go up there and address the UN. She's not even the first kid to go up there and address that part of the UN.
Yeah, it was a really
I hope they listen
video.
to her. I hope because the other thing is, you look at, I think today, she's a president or a prime minister of Marshall Islands, whatever her title is. She's like, in 30 years, my islands will be gone.
Yeah.
If we don't figure this out. Like, we're going to be destroying entire land masses that human beings live on. I really think a lot's going
to be gone in 2040. Like 2050. Like, when we're 60, 70, I think a lot's going to be gone.
I had this creepy feeling last week. I was, like, in the grocery store parking lot, and I think I was just, like, really sun sensitive all day. But the way the sun felt on my skin, and then it was starting to be sunset, and I still felt like the intensity of the sun on my skin. I just had like this Mad Max vision of like everything being like, you know, that weird so polluted air color and hot and dry. And I was like, man, I'm just buying these things at the grocery store like it's nothing. Pretty soon we're going to be fighting over fresh produce and water. Like, I just had this post-apocalyptic vision for a few minutes in the parking lot. I was like, oh my God, this could happen in my lifetime.
I think so. I think 2050, if we don't change, it's going to be crazy.
I mean,
we're going to see a lot of animals go extinct in the next, 10 years. 10 years, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the southern residents are going to stay around for a while.
I'm scared for the blue whales, too.
Yeah.
I mean, they could go forage further north, but then if they really do breed in Costa Rica, the energetic cost of continuing to do that migration is going to kill them.
Oh, they're going to have to not go as far down.
Maybe they'll breed in Monterey instead. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's what we were talking about. We're like, okay, so it's going to become like 70 plus degree water here in Monterey one day. Is what what it sounds like,
so
right?
We're moving back home to Oregon. Let's go start a whale watch company there.
No, but which is bad for the food. The thing is the whales I think will be okay, but their food source is what's not going to do well. Yeah. So if we were just saying like, okay, these whales are used to being in colder water, right? Yeah. Like I was like, do they sweat when they're in like Hawaii? Like, or you know what I mean? So if it's hot in both places, you know?
Yeah. How do they? Well, that just means they're not going to store as much blubber on their body, right? So then how do they prepare for a migration?
Yeah. Well, how are they going to make it 13,000 miles or whatever it is? Yeah. And make it, round trip.
Yeah. Gray whales, that'll be an interesting one. Humpbacks, I mean, it's not as far of a migration. You know, you're looking at 5,000 to 6,000 miles for some. Some are longer, but like, you know, some of the coastal populations of but there are humpbacks and blue whales that are resident, that breed and feed in the Indian Ocean. So how does that work? You know, like those whales have had a very truncated migration where they move into different zones of the Indian Ocean for breeding and for feeding. So is maybe that going to happen here where they adjust their migration, or are they just going to die off?
Yeah, I don't know.
So that could be an interesting thing too. Let's just go start a whale watch company in the Oregon coast.
You know what? Ready. They told me while I was up there, they're moving the southern resident endangered zone, or like they're, I don't know, what's that
Oh,
called?
they're expanding the critical habitat.
Yeah, all the way to Monterey.
Yeah.
All the way to somewhere in California, but I'm assuming it's Monterey.
I think it is, yeah.
I think it's already like in place.
I thought it was already listed because they have been seen in Monterey several times in the last 15 years.
When they did it, they probably forgot about it, but now that they just got seen here, it's a big deal. So.
Yeah, because in 2012 there was
I knew that was
going to
happen
as well. Yeah.
So now our rules are going to be the same when they're here. Once we identify them, it's going to be 200 yards. I think. Okay.
I mean, fair.
It's fine. I don't mind the 200 yards. I mean, after the last 10 times I've been up there, I feel like, or last not 10 times, like 5 times.
If they made the trek all the way to California to find food, they can have 200 yards distance. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You made a long swim to come get this salmon down here.
Everybody up there is like, I hope they start staying down there in San Francisco and Monterey. I'm like,
there's a lot less whale watching there.
What, here?
Yeah.
Well, it's not even that. It's just if there's more food, then that's well, I mean, San Francisco's got to have a pretty. It's not
the port stuff is a big deal, but
the port in I guess in Seattle
if you stay out in the open ocean, you'd be
Vancouver is pretty big, but
or they could just hang out off the Oregon coast all the time if the
that's what I'm saying.
There.
Like just between here and there, it doesn't have to be in Monterey. You know, they're not going to hang out in the bay 24 hours a day, anyways.
Yeah. I just want them to have just a peaceful life with lots of salmon. That's all I want for them. If we can watch them and we can teach people about them and inspire them to take action to help keep their ocean habitat a safe place, great. But if they find food and they're out of sight of all of us, you know what? That's okay too.
Dude, it's so hot outside. I was just
Slater's
I don't know what happened, but ice cream just popped in my head.
Yeah, that would be nice. I'm hoping for a nice little ocean breeze.
63 degrees in Friday Harbor. That's what Monterey should say right now.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, normally it is like 65 here. Or, if anything, 73 degrees, not 90.
73. It's hotter here right now than it is in Long Beach, California.
Oh.
92 in San Francisco.
Wow.
I can't find Monterey. Come on, dudes. Monterey. Oh, there we are. 88 degrees right now.
Oh, so it came down a little bit. It was 91 when I came over here.
It probably is.
The breeze probably picked up.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Tomorrow's going to be 7. We're dropping back. This weekend will be 64 again, which is nice.
Yeah, it looks like it gets windy this weekend.
I never thought I'd be asking for colder weather. In California, I guess. Well, here in Monterey.
I'm always down for colder weather.
I love it being warm, though, but not inside the apartment. Because there's no such thing as, like, AC, and it really, like...
No.
In most coastal towns, there's like when I lived in Newport Beach, I mean some of the houses had AC, but like most likely you don't have AC. There's no point.
Yeah.
It's perfectly like the weather's usually pretty perfect year round.
Yeah. Yep.
You either need your heater or you definitely don't need the AC.
Yep. Yeah, that's how it is growing up in the Willamette Valley. It was the same. My parents finally got one for the window, and now I think they just have some like really nicely designed fans, but yeah, they don't have like central air or anything.
Oh, yeah. So I shared that Greta's video in my story yesterday.
Yeah.
And so I guess obviously I had to take a plane to get home. Some lady wrote me and she said, you just contradicted yourself by sharing this video and taking a plane home. I was like, well, I still have to get home. You know what I mean? Like that. It's true. Like the thing is what are you going to do? You can't, there's no way they're going to stop using planes to get places. Like that's never ever gonna happen. But if you can't take a boat, that's just more noise in the water and more like,
or you could you could take a sailboat like she did to get across the Atlantic, but that also tacks on a lot of time.
Is that how she got
expensive.
Here? Took a sailboat?
Yep.
Wow, that proves like I almost replied
she's
and
committed.
I was like, I guarantee she flew here, but so she's
committed.
Here.
She sailed. So yeah, but
but still like.
If you can afford
it. You can't sail all the time.
No.
First off.
No.
It has to be a good weather window. You have to be on a nice sailboat. Like, you can't just take a 25-foot sailboat across the world. Like,
yeah. But if you can afford it, some airlines, actually a lot of airlines do it now. You can buy carbon offsets for your tickets. So if that's a financial commitment you can make, there's a way to reduce your impact there. Or if you can find alternate modes of transportation that have less carbon emissions than flying.
Is cars less?
I guess it would depend on how far you're going.
Well, from here to Washington.
Probably yes. I don't know. But you could also potentially take the train. that may be less carbon emissions. True. I'm not sure what the Amtrak trains, what fuel they run on.
Yeah, it's just going to take you 3 or 4 days to get somewhere.
Yeah. So if you can afford it time-wise and money-wise.
It's just, I guess it's being selfish, huh?
Well, it's a matter of convenience and also what works for your wallet and your amount of time you're available.
Well, yeah, you got to be able to, like, you can't just take off 24 days of work to get somewhere because it's 6 days of train if you were to take the train.
Like, that's what I say.
Plus, you're going to have to pay for a hotel. So you're going to have to, like, there's a lot of things you're going to have to pay for.
Right.
It's going to be way more expensive.
Right. I mean, that's what I say about the train. The train would be cheaper and there is a stop in my hometown. However, it's a 21-hour train ride. So unless I'm going to be home for at least 10 or 12 days, it's not worth it.
You can't. It's like going to Australia. You don't fly to Australia. You don't go there. See, again, flying. But you don't take a 18-hour flight to China or anywhere and then stay there for 2 days and come back. Like you have to, like when you go to places that far away, you have to spend more than a week there.
Unless you're there for business or something, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's, again, they're being paid for. It's all getting paid for. Like your time's being paid for leaving. So if it's like, I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that I think about more and more.
But you don't think they're ever going to get rid of planes?
No, not necessarily. And I do believe that like we have the ability to engineer more
planes will get better, I think.
Emission-efficient vehicles, whether it's cars, trains, planes, buses, cargo ships.
Well, like us riding our bike every single day, that offsets a one plane ride a year.
That's the other thing that I always, if I can bike somewhere in town, I bike to work in the rain. I don't care. Then that to me is like the less days I use my car in general is like the better I can offset all of my travels and, going home to see my family, things like that.
There was, in the Whale Museum in Friday Harbor, there was a big board that had like 1 through 11 on it, right? And there was a big wheel that you spin. And so you spin the wheel, and it's a challenge. It was called a challenge wheel. And it tells you, like number 1 was, I don't remember. So it's, you'll bring your own water bottle always. And then like number 2 was you'll ride a bike to work or whatever it was. So I thought that was pretty cool. I got number 2, which is ride a bike, which if I go anywhere here, usually I ride a bike anyways. Yeah. Besides like if it's like to eat or somewhere that's up a hill or whatever. Yeah. But usually, well, even then I ride my bike down to work. Yeah. So, and it said like just ride your bike to work or one place at least. Right. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and when I do use my car, I try and do like several, like I'll save up all my errands for one day. So I'm just doing them all at the same time. That way I'm only driving the car once.
Yeah. I guess that's a good thing to do too, huh?
Yeah.
It's so hard though if you got 2 people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Luckily, see, my wife and I only have 1 car total. Yeah. So, and if I'm going down to the boat, I usually ride my bike, and if we have to run errands at night, we usually go together. So it kind of saves. Yeah. Because I feel like most people do have 2 cars. Yeah.
So, there's little things we can all do to definitely reduce our impact, and thinking about like buying carbon offsets, or what Etsy just said, they are going to take on, with no cost to the vendors or consumers, carbon offsetting all of their shipping through their website. They just announced that recently. So that's really cool too, to think about that when you buy things. I mean, carbon emissions are released to get your package from Amazon. Did it come on a truck? Did it come on a plane? Did it come on a boat to get to you? So.
Oh yeah, well, most likely it flew. Yeah. If it's a 1-day shipping.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's not true because, if got there somehow, most likely flying or driving. But there's Amazon warehouses now, like all over. Right. So.
And like based on our location, I'd say we have pretty big warehouses near us in Monterey. Like
like all this stuff's coming from like either San Jose or like Oakland or something.
Choosing no rush shipping, or really thinking about, can I get this product from a closer source, even though it costs more? It's going to be less, healthier for the environment, things like that. Yeah. Some of the hotels, I'm in a sustainable hospitality professionals group, and some of the hotels and conference centers and things in our area actually do carbon assessments as part of like their zero waste conferences or their low waste conferences. So they'll map out where every product that was served on the menu came from, and they'll show people like how much carbon emissions they reduced by letting the organizers choose these products that came from closer distances, even though they costed more, which is pretty cool.
We got fully vegan laundry detergent. Yeah. It's all plant-based. It's actually really good. It's like the best one we've ever had.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
You know what pissed me off is at the airport, we ordered some food and a drink, and it came with a straw in it. It pisses me off because it's like, one, it's my fault for not saying anything.
Yeah.
But two, it's like, I just feel like it should be mandatory to not give out straws, like, at all. Yeah. Unless someone asks for it. Yeah. And then if they ask, then you give them a paper one.
Yeah.
Which I feel like paper's got to cost less than plastic, right? Or no?
I don't know. So here's the other thing, like, there's this whole concept of like
but then it's cutting down trees to get paper.
Yeah, it's like greenwashing or like eco-taxing products. Like for some reason, things that you would think would cost less because they're environmentally friendly, they charge people upsell it because they're it's trendy to be sustainable, and it's like
like the paper and all the different straws right now that are out are so expensive.
Yeah, for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, if you would go flashback to 2000 and you went to, like, Party City to buy, like, fun straws for your birthday party that were, like, reusable plastic ones, you would have paid, like, a fifth of the price of what they are now. Because they weren't trendy then. Like, remember all those, like, bendy straws that were, like, all swirls and loops and things? Like,
which is funny is because, like, but people still give those kind of straws out as, like, not reusable, too.
Yeah.
And it just blows my mind that any place, like... It's like, how did with all the publicity around the world right now, right? How did the owner of that, like, restaurant not see it yet?
Yeah.
Or they just don't care. It's not even that they don't care. It's just, like, it's just not something they're thinking about in their day-to-day.
Yeah.
You know? Because we obviously work with whales and, like, we're into the
for us, you know, most decisions day-to-day we think about the environmental impact.
Yeah.
Whereas other people, it's more
try to, because I'm definitely not perfect.
Yeah.
Like, just, and I was thinking about it before I mentioned the straw thing. I was like, man, it's my fault. I should just say, hey, if, like, we don't want straws.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it should, in the big picture, it should be mandatory to not give out straws.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a joke. When you get a plastic straw in your water, it's like, I don't even like straws anyway. Like, honestly, I'd rather just drink out of the glass.
Yeah.
But some people, I totally remember people... And I have this flashback of when I was really young, someone saying, like, oh, I only drink out of straws. Like, and I remember them putting a straw in a beer bottle. I'm like, how stupid is that? Like, you know what I mean? Or putting a straw in a can. Straw. You're like, what?
Yeah, the straw in the can one still blows my mind. I see people do it, and I'm like, what?
And I totally picture someone at the river drinking a V8 juice with a straw in it. And it's like, shut up. I'm like... God.
They're like, it tastes better with a straw.
But that
like,
was in what?
No, it does not.
2002 or something,
yeah.
You know? You're probably not going to see that as much now.
No. Well, and we're kind of spoiled in Monterey because of the city ordinances of all the cities around us, they don't give you a straw, so you don't even have to remember to ask. Oh, in Marina they do?
Yes. I forget where we were, but my wife, with Margo and I, it was somewhere over near like the Pizza Blaze Pizza. Wherever we were over there.
Oh, out at the shopping center.
Yeah. And they had straws in there. Or no, Target and Seaside, their Starbucks has plastic straws still.
Really?
But the Starbucks in Monterey has paper straws.
Because it's a city ordinance in Monterey now. So
yeah,
all the
and
corporate
Pacific Grove
companies
as well,
had to
I think.
adjust.
But Seaside is not.
Yeah.
So, but it's
and that Target's in Sand City, so that's even a whole different deal.
Yeah, and it's plastic straws in there.
Yeah. Well, dining in Monterey city limits, and I think Pacific Grove, you have to request a straw. So I'm starting to get in the habit of forgetting to ask.
Like Chopsticks or the sushi places. Or even places you would think that wouldn't have them, they all have paper straws now in Monterey.
Yeah.
I haven't come across anywhere in Monterey that is still using
the
plastic.
deal was they're allowed to use whatever's left in their stock, but they could not place any new orders for plastic straws.
Yeah.
Which is cool that they're like... That kind of thing is also...
At least one city did it, but like it should be a California thing to be honest.
Well, it just failed in the legislature. I forgot to get the update on it, but they tried to put it through for the whole state, and it didn't go through.
Are we about to be voting soon?
Yes.
When is this?
Are you registered?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Is everyone else that listens to our podcast registered to vote? Because you should be.
Because I got my new driver's license. I remember signing.
Oh, and you just click the box. Yeah. See, it's that easy. You just click the box when you're at the DMV, or you go on the internet and they ask for you 5 pieces of information and you say yes.
So I guess this has nothing to do with whales. Anyways.
It does, though. Your vote matters.
Yeah, no, it does. That's not what I meant by it. I'm just saying this is not about whales.
Oh, yeah. That's okay.
I was going to say that all the new president things are like, their big like promotional thing is to get on like a late night show. I just was listening to something about that. So now it's like supposed to be comedy. I don't freaking know.
Yeah, our life is a reality TV show in this country. It's just what it is.
Where they used to do like morning or like they used to do other things. Now it's like get on like Jimmy Fallon or get on Jimmy Kimmel or get on.
I mean, some of it's like you got to meet people where they're at, right? Like that's the key to any effective communication strategies.
Yeah,
you got to meet people
you got to be
where
able to
they're
get
at.
it across to a platform,
right?
One
and
way or another.
Where are the vast majority of your people?
And if it's going to end up on Jimmy Fallon's YouTube, you know, and on his TV show and his Instagram and everything, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
So yeah, politics are like, it's all about social media now. It's crazy.
Well, you got to reach your voters. You know, you got to figure out where they are so you can communicate what you need to communicate to them.
Yeah.
You know what I saw on Facebook the other day?
What's that?
Which, speaking of social media, but ties back into whales. Someone, you know that photoshopped photo of the blue whale with the tiny boat on top of it? No, with the little skiff on top of it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So someone photoshopped it more and turned it into a right whale head with the same blue whale tail and the same texture of the water underneath a bridge. And this is like the Godzilla of whales. I'm like, oh my God.
I see this so much. Now all I see is pictures like a girl sitting in like a dandelion field with a humpback swing in the clouds. It's like I swear I see that like every day.
But that one, like, people are like the enormity of a blue whale. First of all, it's not a blue whale. Second of all, it's photoshopped. But one of the accounts that shared it got flagged by Facebook saying this is
fake image.
This is fake content or something. And so it's like their new security stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, good. Hopefully people will read that and realize that a whale is not 10 times the size of the Oakland Bridge.
Or no, sorry, like a mile long or something, you know?
The whale's like 3 miles long.
I don't get why people do that. Like, I guess it's their art or their hobby or whatever. It's fun for them.
Don't believe everything you hear on the internet.
So one of the passengers, Dave, that was on my trip, they're from Ontario, Canada. Well, they've been whale watching in Newfoundland, and he's like, you need to go there. He went in June. And they had humpbacks next to icebergs, which is like my goal.
That's all you want. You want whales and ice.
Yeah, but I want to do it in Greenland. I'll do it there, but
let's do both.
Canada has really strict laws, and like you can't. I wouldn't even be able to get a permit or anything for the drone. So like Greenland, I could do. So yeah.
You want a drone photo of the whales on the ice?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you described it to us.
Yeah.
I remember.
Maybe one peck fin underneath the iceberg. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so that guy said Newfoundland's really awesome. I think you've seen belugas there. They've seen narwhals. They've seen, I think the narwhals might have been further up somewhere else in Canada, but for sure they have them there. And yeah, icebergs are floating in all over June, or all throughout June. And I just talked to Eric Yee, just went whale watching in Newfoundland, and I think they had humpback. He saw humpbacks there, but he said there was no ice. But the captain told him to come in June if he wants icebergs. So what do you know?
So next June we're going to Newfoundland?
Yeah. The guy's like, you should run a trip there. And I was like, yes.
If anyone knows the logistics side of things in Newfoundland, hit Slater up so he can plan a trip there.
The guy said he went on like he had like a private boat or something. But I'm sure there's whale watch companies there.
Oh, I'm sure there is too. I think actually, I'll have to verify it for next episode, but I think there was a right whale sighted up there last week. They had like a really far north sighting last week of a right whale, and it was feeding, so.
I'm really curious to know if Greta, because she just posted, here we go again, she's sailing. Yeah. I'm really curious to know if she powered. If the boat, I'm guaranteed it has fuel on it, right?
It's solar and wind, I think. It
really?
may have emergency gas.
It's gotta have a motor on it.
The whole point of it was to be solar and wind.
She had it built though?
No, it's like a professional sailing company or something, or like racing company that they contracted.
Oh, have you seen the Fridays for Future thing? That's pretty cool too. There's a strike here today at 12 o'clock. Oh, really? No, on Friday. Yeah, so you can...
Let's go picket with the Monterey high schoolers.
So you can shoot... It's probably what it is, huh?
Yeah.
You can, like, look at the maps and see where they're all at all over the world and join them. And if they're if they're marked blue, it's, like, every weekend. If they're marked red, they're, like, once
There was one last
only.
Friday while you guys were gone. Lacey and I walked by it.
It's going to be every single Friday at 12 o'clock.
Wow.
Well,
Lacey and I, joined the protest for a few seconds as we walked by.
Yeah, there was one the day we got into Friday Harbor Friday.
Yeah.
There was one in Friday Harbor.
Yeah, there was one in Monterey at the window by the bay.
Last Friday was like the climate.
The climate summit was last Friday. Yeah, started last Friday. Yeah.
All right, so
we're school striking. Watching. We're not using straws, and we're going whale watching.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try not to fly.
Or offset when you fly.
Yeah, that's a really tough one. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
I just feel like I don't think they'll ever get rid of planes.
No, but you can find a way to reduce your impact.
Yeah.
That's your 2020 challenge. Offset your emissions when you fly.
How?
You're going to have to find out, man.
Anyways, we're going whale watching this week.
Yeah.
I guess. I think so.
I hope so.
Are you going?
Yeah, I'm going tomorrow.
Maybe I'll go tomorrow.
All right.
Margo looked at me on the couch today and she goes, "You need to go whale watching, Slater." And I was like, Jesus, we've been home one day. And she literally was like looked at me like I was like a bad person. She's like, "You need to go whale watching." And I was like, "Jeez, all right." So we're going whale watching this week. We'll let you know how it is. October 11th is my all-day trip here in Monterey. And I think during that, I have two friends coming up for that all-day trip. They both booked. Taylor from the San Juan Island and Adam, who's been on the podcast before, is back from the San Juan Islands. He was supposed to do it this week, but my seaplane was canceled due to the weather, and I got stuck on the San Juan Island for another night, which was so horrible.
Oh, darn.
And so, yeah, both of them are going to be here. So we'll probably get two for sure. They both said they would do it. So we'll have two people podcasting with us.
Cool.
So we can save them for other episodes.
Works for me, man.
And then Eric will be back like before.
Soon, this weekend. He'll be
back. So we'll probably this episode will come out next Monday. Or should we do it this week?
We should just post it now.
Yeah, we'll post it now, and then next Monday, episode with Eric will be out. I'm pretty sure.
We hope.
Probably late.
No promises. You know. We're usually late.
Yeah, it's like roulette podcasting, so you never know. But thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. We're well over 1,000 followers on Instagram. All of our platforms have tons of views, and we're super grateful. Katlyn ran into someone at the farmer's market last night. She told me.
Yeah.
How funny is this? Two of the passengers on the boat, I don't even think they know that I'm on the podcast. And I don't even know.
Did they tell you, dude, you should listen to this podcast?
No, she was like, "I'm a whale nerd," and or something like that. And the other person's like, "I'm a whale nerd." I still don't even know if they've listened to the podcast, to be honest. But they were calling themselves whale nerds. And I was like, well, listen to the podcast. And they're like, wait, I think I've heard of it. So I think they have. I think one of them at least has heard of it. But yeah, if you guys know people that like whales, share it with them. That'd be cool.
And also, thank you to those of you that support us on Patreon as well.
Ooh, I'm going to put photos from my San Juan Island trip on Patreon.
Ooh, so if you're a Patreon follower, you get exclusive content.
Nice. Can you help me do that?
Yes.
Thank you guys for listening, and enjoy the rest of your week.